Hey, welcome back to the channel. Slightly different topic today. Looking at Maschine and how to use scenes, patterns, and now clips that I wasn't aware of existed. So trying to do a bit more work with Maschine and asked a few questions on some forums as to how people are using scenes and patterns and how clips fit into that. So based on some of the answers that I got, I'm trying to understand how to use that best. So I've laid down a little example here because a few people were saying they're still confused as to how, and I kind of was at first, how to use these, but I've tried to relate it back to the way I use Reason. And I have a video in Reason on using blocks, so I'll pop a link to that up here. But I'm just trying to understand the best ways of using this. So if you're using clips or you're using scenes and patterns and got pros and cons, please comment below and let me know your thoughts on how I'm going to be using this. So if you want to see that, stay tuned, we'll dive straight in.
This is where we all get down.
So here we are in Maschine. Just laid down a simple example here. So apologies to the Mac users, but I'm a Windows user. So here we've got Control 1, 2 and Control 3, which iterate between Ideas mode, Song mode and Mixer, or you can hit Tab to get to the Mixer, in case you didn't know that. So here we are in Ideas mode, and what I'm doing here is just giving some examples of some scenes, and inside those scenes I've just laid down a few patterns here. So you can see in this particular scene here, none of the other patterns are highlighted bar the lead line here that I've got in this pattern 1. Again, please name these better because it's a nightmare when you've got a big project and all these patterns exist, and possibly clips you'll see in a second, and also try and name the scenes so they're applicable to what's in that particular scene. So you can see in lead only I've got this pattern here for this lead here, and then in the kick I've got the kick starting to come in, and then the lead is still in there, and then we progress a little bit more to basically everything coming in here. And again, I've not named all these, it's just for demo purposes. And then here we've got a few things dropping out here and changing the drums here. So if you've used this already, you can add a new scene here and you can rename it by doing this. You can delete a scene as well, you can duplicate a scene and so on. And then inside here you can create a pattern or edit a pattern. So let's just drop a pattern in here, and again, using the Maschine pads, chords, keyboard, steps, whatever, you can lay down, or you can just double click them in here if you really want to do that to create the notes. I'm just going to get rid of that one. So you lay all kind of your ideas, hence the name of this is called Ideas, right? Control 1. And then if you do Control 2, you'll go to Song mode. And in here, kind of liken this a little bit. If you switch to Reason, if you were using blocks, you could create a block here. So if you do Insert Lead Only, you'll get this pattern here with just that lead in. Okay, and if we play that, we're just going to get that lead playing there. And if I continue that process through the little example I've given, we'll then go to the kick and the lead, and then we'll insert a couple of leads in the kick, and then we'll drop to the kick and the percussion where I think the kick drops out. So I'm just going to flick through this so you can see the transition. So we've just got the lead here, and obviously the kick comes in, and as we progress further, kind of builds up, and then obviously in this last bit the kick drops out and some of the other elements in there. So that's all fine and good, but my understanding is if I go back into Ideas view with Control 1, and let's say I was to edit this lead here, the change to that pattern would then be affected across the board here where it's utilized in these scenes. Okay, so if I made a change to that lead there, then back in Ideas here, it would change it across the entire song wherever it's used in a given scene, right? So when coming back here, I noticed that clips had arrived, and if before doing that, if you just kind of click somewhere here, you can create a clip, and inside that clip here, you can see you can program in whatever you want to fire there. Okay, so as an example, what we can do is if I insert as clips, okay, so we can follow on this kick and percussion block here, but if I do kick and percussion here, you'll notice it will create exactly what's in that scene in terms of patterns, but it'll put them in as clips. Okay, and then I can individually edit these in here. So I could say, okay, and this one, although it's based on the kick and percussion, I probably don't want that lead in there as well. So you get more finite control over editing that part of the song. So if I play it now, you see how that drops out, but I've not affected the underlying scene that contains that combination of patterns, if that makes sense. So if we go back here, that is exactly how we left it, okay, based on these notes down here. So again, to me, it's like using blocks, if you like, but you've also got a more tighter control. So if you wanted to create your own, let's say you didn't have a scene that had some combination of all these, you can just do that with clips here. So I'm going to take this out for a second. But also, like I said, you can just draw in here and you can program in, you know, whatever you'd like to happen here based on whatever's instruments are set up in that particular area. So it's to me like clips was a further enhancement, that you had tighter control on what goes on in your track there, rather than relying on going and creating another scene that's another spin of kick and percussion that does something slightly different. So that's kind of my understanding of you know, how to use clips now alongside scenes and patterns. Or you know, you could just do the entire thing with clips. So rather than having all this inserted as scenes, you could just insert them as clips and go to town in terms of customization, where you want to take things out, bring things in, alter things up a little bit, a bit of variation, whatever, changing automation, all that kind of stuff. So it seems like a really good addition here to Maschine to be able to do that. So please comment below if you you know, you think you see there's a better way to do this, or I've not quite understood how that works, but I'm sure there's a few other ways you can chop and change all this together. But it seems like it's a big enhancement over just patterns and scenes. But as I say, I'm just getting back into it, so just comment below and let me know what you think. Also, just subscribe to the channel if you can, and like some of the videos. Thanks very much.
Yeah.